In this video, we're going to take a look at a router and take a look at dual stack configuration. The dual stack means that it can operate both with IPv4 addresses and IPv6 addresses. So I'm on this router, and the first thing that I'm going to do is take a look at the interfaces and see if there's any configurations for IPv6 on it at this point. So I'm going to do a show IPv6 interface brief to take a look at the interfaces and any association with IPv6 addresses. And we can see that these are unassigned, first of all, and that two of the interfaces are administratively down, so the shutdown command is on there, and we have one interface up, and it's this one interface that we're actually going to configure. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the running config of this. So I'm going to do a show run interface, show run interface and FA00. We hit enter, and there is the configuration of this interface right there. We can see that there is no IPv6 on there. So the first thing that we'll do is we're going to set this router up to actually route IPv6 addresses first, so packets first. So to do that, I have to be in global configuration mode. So I'm going to get into global configuration mode, and the thing I'm going to type in is IPv6 unicast routing and hit enter, and then that will configure this router to be able to route unicast traffic for IPv6. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is put and attach an IPv6 address to this machine. So what I can do is type in interface FA00 to get into the interface, and then I can type in IPv6 and see what commands are associated with IPv6. So I see here I can actually pick up a DHCP address. If I wanted to pick up a DHCP address, I can just type in enable if I want to enable the IPv6 interface. What that will do is create a local link address, so at least it can communicate on the line. So I can just enable it. We're going to see is that that's going to automatically, the local link address is going to automatically be created when we do these other commands, because a IPv6 port needs to have a local link address. It's part of the way it functions, IPv6 functions. So we could just enable IPv6 at this point in time, but I want to show you how it will automatically add that. And then we also see now that we can add an address to this. So that's what we're going to do in this case right here. So let's add an address to it, and the address that we're going to add is FC:1:1:1. We're going to actually add a couple zeros in there, /64. So it's going to be the address that we're trying to add plus the length of the prefix length. So then we can hit enter. And let's now take a look at show. I'll have to put the do at the front of it. Do show IPv6 interface brief. I hit enter, and now we see that IP address, the IPv6 address associated with FA00. Now, the other thing that we see here is that local link is added as well. It's the local link address, and we see that FFE is in the middle of this. So that should give us a clue that this is a EUI64 address right there. So it automatically added a local link address, and for Cisco devices, it added the EUI64. So this right here is associated with the MAC address of the switch. And if I wanted to see that, I could do, let's do show interfaces and take a look at the interfaces. And we see that the MAC address of this is 0026 0B7F or 468C. So 468C. It is the same 468C. It's the same thing. So it's taken the MAC address to form the local link address on this. So that gives us, once again, a clue that this is a EUI64. Now, by default, Windows will not use EUI64, but by default, Cisco does use EUI64. All right, so that's the local link address. So the next thing that we'll do, let's break out of here, is let's also add a unicast address to this that uses the EUI64. So to do that, I'm going to type in IP address. Well, it's going to be a version 6, right? So IP version 6 address, and then we'll type in our FC00:1:64. It is going to be a /64, and we want EUI64 in there. So we hit enter, and now let's take a do show IP version 6 interface brief. We hit enter, and now we see that it's added that EUI64 IP address in there as well. All right, so there you have it. So now we've configured this device to be able to route IP version 6 addresses, and we've also configured one of the ports to have IP version 6 addresses on it. And if I wanted to test it out, the other thing I could do is a ping, and I can ping another device on this network to test it out. So let's do 1::. Let's try pinging 3, and it's successful. So this IP version 6 address is now live on the network.